There it is, the moon. The moon in the sign of Pisces, 7 degrees, 25 minutes. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at a second full moon in the month of August. 2 full moons in 1 month. That is not common. While at the same time, it's not super rare. Okay. But it's not common. So it's different. And it should mean something significant because it's different. So what I'm going to do is dive into this. We're going to dive into the dates. You obviously see the degree, 7 degrees and 25 minutes. And for those of you who follow astrology, whether it's on this channel or somewhere else, you know that a full moon is a time when the sun and the moon are up in the sky in matching degrees, 7 degrees, 25 minutes, degrees and minutes, but in opposite signs. So if you know what's at the opposite of Pisces, you know where the sun is on this day at this time, right? Because the moon moves 1 degree every 2 hours. So full moons are important because you have the powerful moon, which is strong water energy. All by itself, it's strong water energy. It's emotions, it's feelings. It can be family, can be childhood in the past, can be your home where you literally live. You know, the sticks and the bricks. It's also your internal home, your emotional stability, your emotional security. That's the moon. And being watery, water is emotions. Water is a great conductor of emotions. And sometimes we get filled with more emotions, with a lot of emotions, and so much emotions, they spill over during full moon time because that's when the moon is at its zenith. It's at its height of its cycle. It's full, and it kind of literally spills over and releases. And we relate the moon cycle to the woman's cycle. The woman and the moon, totally connected. This is feminine energy, the moon, strong feminine qualities. Now, it's also in another thing that represents water, the sign that it's in. I said thing, the sign that it's in. Pisces is also water. Pisces is theater and sound. It's theatrical, dramatic. When we go to the theater, whether it's a moving picture like the movies or the silver screen, or with the live theater performances, this can be poetry, actors, actresses, music, musicians, live. This can be Broadway. This can be the opera, dramatic, very theatrical. Sound is always a big deal with Pisces because the sound is very moving and powerful. It can persuade. And so Pisces are known as great actors and actresses, but also who else can persuade? What other sort of people use their voices to persuade or their actions to persuade? That's what a person does when they're paid to do that. When they're paid to make you believe they are a certain character, a certain personality, actors, actresses, right? What about those who are in the public spotlight? Whether they're politicians or literally paid performances, some would say it's the same, but not everybody's a bad apple, right? But then all you need is a few to spoil the barrel. And what about those that are public figures because they have a social platform? Whether they're vlogging, you've got all the social medias that you're on, you've got your own, you're on talk radio. Maybe that's the wrong word, talk radio, but you've got your own podcast, right? Everybody kind of just does all of them. And so the voices are heard on in lots of different ways, on lots of different avenues, different medias. So there's that power of persuasion with Pisces energy. And we've learned that no-name people have somehow become names, have somehow can have those persuasive voices. They use their Gemini energy and they can be very persuasive. And is it any coincidence that Gemini is a mutable sign? And so is Pisces. Pisces is mutable water, Gemini is mutable air, and Gemini squares Pisces energy. A square is stress and tension. It tests it. It tests the performance. It says, are you sure that what you think is real is really real? Do you feel like you're maybe getting you're not seeing what's behind the curtain? Now, before I go any further on this, I want us all to take a few steps backwards, because when we start talking about theories, whether hidden agendas or people trying to manipulate us, we are all responsible for that within our own lives. And you have to get the facts, credible sources to prove what it is that you hold true for you in your life. And I'm going into all of this in such a deep way because a full moon in Pisces means something is ending, because that's what full moons represent, endings. So there's some sort of an ending. And because it's the second full moon in the month, it means there's a second ending in this month of something. Now, remember, the last full moon was in the sign right before Pisces, because that's how it works. That's normal. That's natural. That's the cool thing about astrology. If you know enough, you know there's a cycle, there's a timing, there's a season for everything. And many people find answers in the stars for that reason. And who created the planets, who created the stars, who created the sun and the mountains and the waters and the oceans, who created all that, right? So this is not some crazy voodoo type of whatever the hell people want to call it. It's a sacred science. Aquarius is where we had the full moon at the beginning of the month. A release, an ending. Aquarius is a lot of different things, has a lot of different keywords. But when we think about people, it can be an authority figure. It can be groups of people. And my friends, many people talked about, oh, yep, something weird going on with friendships. Those are kind of closing out and ending. And all of a sudden, we're not getting along, or people have cut me off. I've been reading a lot of comments from subscribers saying those things, ending within groups, group energy. But this video is about Pisces, and it's a full moon. So this tells us that if the moon is in Pisces at 7:25, this tells us that the sun is exactly across from it in Virgo at 7:25. And Mercury is a key factor in this. Other than the fact that Mercury is going through a retrograde, Mercury is trying to show us some stuff, and it's probably showing us more than we can handle. It's probably revealing a lot of details. And some people, because it's a flurry of details all at once, all coming down through this month, it's almost like, can this shit be true? It's so much. Are you serious? How do I decipher through all of this? Like, how do I make heads and tails out of it? So let's back up a little bit and let's go look at the sun so we can see what I was talking about. There it is, as promised. And that's what the sun looks like. The sun in astrology is the circle, represented by the circle with the dot in the middle. Yep. And there's Mercury. We see Mercury is already retrograding, and this is at the end of August. And we also see Black Moon Lilith at 0. And there it is, the August blue moon. And that means it's the second full moon. So when you hear blue moon, you know, oh shit, this isn't the first full moon of this month. This is the second. And that's what this is, August 30th. August 30th, 2023. Where this gets super interesting is this degree, 7:25, both the sun and the moon ending in Pisces energy. I gave you a lot of the Pisces keywords, and we know that Gemini energy squares it. There's Gemini energy always squaring Pisces. That's normal. Just like Sagittarius, because these are all the mutable signs. So those are mutable. Mutable squares mutable. Remember, similar energies square. That's the way it works. And that's important because if you have significant things in your chart in Gemini or in Saggy, then you're like, damn, stuff that's been going on when we've had all big concentration in Virgo energy, it's been kind of challenging. And it has, because we had the sun, we had Mercury, we had Mars in Virgo. We had a lot going on there. A lot of back and forth and decisions or indecisions, indecisiveness, but it was our daily routines, possibly our job. For some people, major coworker issues, peers, neighbors, right? Because that's all Mercury and it's all Virgo. It's part of your day-to-day routine. It's domestic part of life. So we can think of next door neighbors, right? Lots of changes or disputes or conversations about, hey, I got a neighbor I'm not real thrilled about right now, or hey, I got a coworker I'm not real thrilled about. Because we also have Venus transiting through the sign of Leo, but doing a retrograde. And look where she is on this day of the full moon. Venus is back at 12 degrees, 1231. And we know this is where she began, the shadow zone. Venus's shadow zone for the retrograde is between 12 and 28 degrees of Leo. And so by seeing her back, still in red, but back at 1231, she's standing still. She's about to go direct. So when a planet stands still, it's powerful. This is a powerful day, folks. And because it's so powerful, because it's the full moon, and because we know Mercury is a big deal, because Mercury's in Virgo and it's the news. Mercury's the news. But there's another piece of this. There's another missing piece. What is it? Does anybody know? Think back. I'm going to give you a hint and then I'm going to give you the answer, but think back to August 3rd. You could even Google August 3rd. What was going on in your life? But what was going on in your neighborhood? What was going on in the world? What was going on in your local politics? What was going on in wherever it is that you live? Mercury on August 3rd was right here. At 7 degrees. So where the sun is, I know my Mercury looks a little funky, sorry. Let me make her a little smaller. On this day, August 3rd, Mercury was here at 7:25. And her shadow zone began pretty much at the same degrees, at 8 degrees. 7:25, 8 degrees. It was a high 7, right? So we rounded it up to 8 degrees where Mercury's shadow zone began. So there's a really important thing happening. Mercury dipping into 7, 8 degrees, going to 22 degrees of Virgo, and then making her trip backwards. And the story goes that when Mercury got here at 7, there was a decision made. And then Mercury traveled and got to 22 in Virgo. Let me back that up a little bit. She got to 22 in Virgo. She stood still. Look, right where Pallas Athena is, right? 22, 23, right where Pallas Athena is. And then Mercury went backwards. And she'll go backwards and be standing at 7:25, 8 degrees. And then Mercury will go forward again. So there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of, wait a minute, there's more information I have to gather and get. And that's what this Mercury is doing. A decision and a choice was made August 3rd with this Mercury. And then Mercury got to 22, stood still and said, hey, wait a minute, there's more information that has to be revealed here, or more information that's gathered, or something that got left out. We're going to go back and go get it. So she's now in red here. Mercury is now in red. You see the number? And she's in red because she's going to go all the way back until she hits this degree, until she hits 738 or something like that. And then she stands still. And then her numbers go to black because she will then go forward. And so you see these three arrows, these three black lines depict her journey of where she began here, went forward, then went backwards, and then went forward again. So it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of retracing of the steps. It's a lot of redoing and going over the documents, rereading things, going over the paperwork, trying to make the best decision, gathering as much information as I can to make the best decision I can. Now, Virgo is also jobs. It's not just your domestic part of life, but your jobs. And it's also your health. And it's also our furry friends and our domestic pets. All right? It's all of that. So on this full moon, this is all part of that. Even though she's at 19, Mercury was at this degree. And these degrees, when planets go there, it's like they make a deposit. They deposit a piece of that energy. So now we got the sun sitting where Mercury was. Mercury was just the messenger, but the sun is an authority figure. Now the sun is here. And this sun is in a push-pull. It's in an opposition with the moon in Pisces, which is where our full moon is. Our full moon is all the way across here at 7 degrees in Pisces, 7 degrees and 25 minutes. So if you can think back in your life to August 3rd, what choice did you make? What decisions did you make? And if that's not enough details for you, figure out where does the Virgo energy and your Pisces energy sit in your astrology chart? Meaning, what house number is it in? You see, in this chart, Pisces 725 is in the 4th house. And so if this was my chart that we were looking at as an example, I would be like, holy shit, this is about home and family and mom. My emotions, my emotional security, possibly things from the past that had to do with childhood, maybe even my ancestry, tribal energy, people that you vibe with that you don't even have shared blood with. There's just something there where we feel as though we're like a tight knit, a family group in some way. The home can be the sticks and the bricks as well. And that's just an example. Find out what house your Pisces energy is in. Find out if you have anything at 725. If you don't know and you want to know, comment below. We're probably going to do another video on this because it's loaded, just talking about Mercury, August 3rd. Some of us started jobs. Some of us literally physically moved. Some of us are like, I'm not sure if this was the right decision. Some of us are like, but I want to move, or I tried to move and it fell through, right? Put it all in the comments so I can make a part 2 and we will answer those questions. We will try to go deep dive on them all and try to make a little bit more sense about this. But the Mercury retrograde and her gathering the information is part of this release. Remember, Pisces' ancient ruler is Jupiter. Why does this matter right now? It matters, folks, because Jupiter is about our beliefs. And right now, honestly, a lot of the ancient astrology is what's making all this craziness and all this information make sense. Beliefs. We never say, oh, Pisces is about belief. We say spirituality and religion and faith, right? Kumbaya, prayer, meditation and music, Christ consciousness. Like we use all these new age words, which is all wonderful and great. But we got to figure out, what the hell does that have to do with me and my life? How does that apply to my life? What about your belief system? The things that you believe in. Who did you believe in? What did you once believe to be true that might possibly no longer be true? If there is a full moon in Pisces, the veil is being pulled back. What we once believed in, we may find out I no longer believe in it. And then there might be those who are like, oh, hell no, I don't care what information comes forward. I don't care what anybody says. I am sticking to what I believe in. And sometimes we blend the lines of our reality with our faith. And that's not to offend. Believe in your faith. Having faith is a good thing. But having faith in deity, having faith in the creator, in divine, in Allah, in God, having faith in what you believe in that created you and the mountains and the planets and the beautiful streams and that created everything, the good and the not so good. The belief in that is one thing, but to believe in performances, to not be able to see the difference of a performance as opposed to when someone's actually being truthful, to recognize when we're being in the midst of a performance, when we are watching the theater. There's a difference, right? There is. And so this full moon in Pisces tells me, especially since it's the second full moon of the month, the blue moon and Mercury. Do you know what was also opposite of Mercury on August 3rd? Remember, Mercury was over here on August 3rd at 7 degrees, where this sun is in Virgo. Remember, Virgo is the details. It connects the dots to show you the big picture. Remember that. But go across the way. On August 3rd, the moon was sitting right here. On August 3rd, the moon was opposing Mercury. Like I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. Remember what the moon means. It's not just my home and my family, but it's also the public and what the public believed. So put your questions down below. Let me know what you need to know. Let me know what you're not sure of in your chart. And we'll do a part 2 if you would like that. Comment below. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.